Hello class, thank you for coming to my week 5 discussion board for MPA 545. This week we will be reviewing an identified union, the Janus decision, and the Wisconsin Act 10. The union that I chose to study this week was the Riverside County Sheriff's Association. I might be a little biased because I used to be represented by this union or this association. Um, As the name says, they are um, the primary union for Riverside County Sheriff's deputies, as well as correctional deputies and probation officers. Um, Now, in doing research, I interviewed a couple of people who are still members of the association, and when asked how the Janus decision affected um, membership, I was advised that surprisingly there was little effect on the Riverside County Sheriff's Association. And the reason being is because most deputies and correction officers, as well as probation officers, are happy to be represented by the Riverside County Sheriff's Association. This is due to the benefits, this is due to the representation, and this is due to the negotiation that the association does on behalf of deputies, correction officers, and probation officers. Um, in doing research and interviewing members, I was advised that in today's world, sheriff's deputies, police officers, and those in law enforcement need to have some type of association or have some type of representation because if they are accused of wrongdoing, the association or the union has the means to back them up, do their own investigations, and clear the officers or deputies as need be. So therefore, when the Janus decision was implemented, it hardly affected membership. So the case study that I started to read was police unions and police fatalities in the United States. Using state level data from 1990 to 2018, it was discovered that there were fewer accidental line of duty deaths and fewer felonious line of duty deaths involving police officers compared to police agencies that do not have unions or collective bargaining rights. So what it was saying is that in the areas of study where the police officers had union representation, that it was actually observed and statistically proven that the incidence of wrongful deaths or police malpractice was actually lower than agencies that did not have a union. And this was attributed to the stuff that the unions fight for those officers. Um, example, training. The unions really fight for extensive training for their officers. Um, Better working conditions. They fight to have better tools for officers, so like non-lethal weapons such as tasers or pepper sprays. And unions are constantly fighting for education incentives. So when you had a union that was fighting for these tools um, and training, the police fatalities per year was around 1.87 versus non-union police agencies was 2.31 fatalities per year as a ratio. In reviewing Wisconsin Act 10, I read this newspaper article by the Wisconsin Examiner titled Unions File Lawsuit Challenging Wisconsin Act 10. Now, a little background info on the Wisconsin Act 10 is that it was an act that was implemented by the Wisconsin state government against public employee unions. It placed limits on collective bargaining. It limited bargaining of wages within the CPI. So If you wanted a raise, it had to be reasonable according to the CPI. It increased employee contributions to pensions and health benefits. It also changed the tenure policy at the University of Wisconsin. When it was implemented, it was highly controversial and caused mass protests within the state. Um, so, flash forward 10 years later, which is now present day, lawsuits have been filed against the Act 10, stating that it violates equal protection under the law, as it only affected general public duty employees. It did not affect public safety employees, such as police departments or fire departments. They were not affected by the Act 10. Therefore, the persons that are bringing this lawsuit are demanding equal treatment under the law and also stating that it was highly political in nature. This is something that's still developing and will be interesting to see how it plays out. Thank you very much and have a great week.